Okay, ready? Alright, you got your peanuts and your Coke there. That's good. Welcome to February. It's podcast number 11. And as this is the first podcast we're releasing after making all our videos public, some reintroductions are in order. My name is Sage Man, and this podcast is devoted to 4 segments about stuff I wish to create. I'll reintroduce all the segments as we go through them. I'm currently on vacation in Sweden, visiting my fiancée Natalie, who's been joining me on the podcast.
Hi!
Yay! Okay, I'd like to open with something I need to get out as soon as possible. I've become aware of certain allegations, certainties really, against actor Vic Mignogna that have prompted me to lose my desire to ever work with him. I just can't stand for that sort of thing. I'm sorry I didn't find out about this sooner. I could have been properly informed and avoided mentioning that I ever did wish to work with him, as I expressed in some previous podcasts. I'm sorry I ever mentioned him, and I won't be mentioning him anymore. If I ever make something of myself and the time comes to cast the roles of Kevin or Clover or whoever, I'll be calling someone else. Easiest creative decision I've ever made. If that sounds hollow and unhelpful, I'll remind you I don't have the power to actually take work away from Vic Mignogna. You know, if I could, I would. For now, I'll just spread some awareness. Hashtag #KickVic. Look into it. So, last week I removed him from that Some Sweet Kind of Vampire fantasy cast on my DeviantArt page. Not sure what to do with the photo of me shaking hands with him at Denver Comic-Con. That feels really gross now. This is as good a time as any to ask you to look at my DeviantArt page. Link in description. It's mostly some My Little Pony junk from years ago, but I'm working on revamping it, or at least adding shit to it to be more applicable to TAPAS. Not the point. Point is, Vic Mignogna is a well-documented sexual predator who is intolerant of other people's religions and sexualities, and I wish I'd known that sooner. With that out of the way, let's move on to what you came here for. Well, we're starting with Droon, so Droon and then what you came here for.
So I can just zone out again.
Yeah, I know nobody cares about the Droon segment, just let me have it.
It's more like I have never heard about Droon before, because, yeah, it's not a thing in Sweden.
Yeah, well, it's not a thing anywhere else either. That's why I recap every book in its entirety.
Okay.
So,
punch it.
Okay, yeah, so, I've kept this whole thing bottled up for years. I've just got to do it. So for those of you just joining us, every week on this podcast, I recap and review one book from my favorite childhood book series, The Secrets of Droon by Tony Abbott. And
how many books was it again?
44.
44, that's a lot for a book series for children.
Yep. Well, they're real little books.
Yep.
And then once I recap and sort of review the book, I fantasize about how I'd go about adapting that book to television, had I the power. So, they were doing Book 11, The Hawk Bandits of Tarkoom, another of my all-time favorites as a kid. Tim Jessel returns to illustrate. He's definitely the better one. Let's jump right into it. Chapter 1, One Head is Better Than Two. Eric and Julie are repairing the closet a little bit, making sure it's in good working condition so their only way into Droon doesn't go out of commission or draw any unwanted attention. Neil arrives with an out-of-control Snorky, who accidentally activates the closet and descends the stairs into Droon. The kids pursue him. The stairs take them to the Panjabar Hills, where they lose Snorky but find a huge gray-skinned dog with 2 heads, which attacks them. Chapter 2, What the Legend Says. Kia rides to the rescue, accidentally using witch powers to chase the dog away. Snorky is recovered, and it turns out the kids have been called there because Badamogi summoned help after an earthquake in Panjabar uncovered something interesting. The tomb of the great beast Kem, the 2-headed dog, whom Galen defeated 400 years ago, guardian of the destroyed city of Tarkoom, a land of thieves and bandits. Legend says that if Kem should ever return, so too shall Tarkoom. Chapter 3, Tarkoom Again. As they travel, Galen and Badamogi tell tales of the Hawk Bandits, half human and half bird, and their leader, Ving, who possessed a magical, soothing voice that put his victims at ease before he robbed them blind. Tarkoom was a city in the ancient empire of Gaul, and Galen fears that if Tarkoom returns, so shall all the dark magic of Gaul. They find the ruins of Tarkoom, and later that night, the city reassembles itself. Chapter 4, City of Bandits. Galen explains that they must destroy the city before Ving mounts an attack, for if the Hawk Bandits' attack succeeds, they will become a permanent part of present-day Droon. While Eric tries to puzzle out the logistics and causality of it all, he loses track of the others. has a run-in with Chem, and falls through the streets into some sort of underground tunnel. Chapter 5, The Everywhere Passages. Trapped in the tunnel, alone but for two unseen digging creatures who speak a language Eric cannot understand, Eric is trapped for a full day. He gets hungry, so breaks open a fruit that fell into the pit with him, which smells horrible but tastes sweet. The fruit gives him the power to understand the digging creatures, small otter-like beings called mooples, who tell him that the tunnels he is in are magical passages that lead to everywhere in Droon. The way in is never the way out, so they guide him through the tunnels to find a place where he can rejoin his friends. Eric does so, and discovers that even though he perceived his time in the tunnels as being nearly 2 days, he's only been missing for a minute or so, during which Galen has gone on ahead. The kids, Max and Bottomogi, are suddenly surrounded by a band of hawk bandits. Chapter 6, In the Court of Prince Ving. The bandits, led by Ving's lieutenant Ichthos, take the group to see Ving. Ving tells the group that the Hawk Bandits intend to use their second chance at life, not to return to banditry, but to live in harmony with all of Droon. Here, Eric discovers how Ving's magical voice works. He says honeyed words to his victims, which they cannot help but believe, while making aside comments that only his cronies can hear, and thanks to the tang fruit, Eric can hear too. Ving tells his henchmen to put Max, Bottomogi, and Snorky to work as slaves and feed the kids to the serpents, but all any of them hear are invitations to stay as guests in Ving's palace. Chapter 7, Room of Tricks. Eric is unable to snap his friends out of the trance Ving's voice has put them in until they're already in the room where Ving has promised them a meal. The floor gives way, opening up into the serpent pool, but Eric urges the others to climb the walls just in time. There seems to be no escape, but they are rescued by a young man who identifies himself as Galen Shortbeard. Yes, apparently not only was Tarkoom brought back after being destroyed 400 years ago, but it also brought back a much younger Galen when he was there on the day Tarkoom fell. All any of them know about what Ving is planning is that Eric heard him tell his lackeys to prepare the bolt. The group splits up, with the young Galen leading Kia and Eric back to the throne room. Chapter 8, The Bad Kind of Bolt. Reaching the throne room, they discover that the bolt is a crossbow bolt, and also a lightning bolt. When the Hawk Bandits fire the bolt from where it rests in a giant crossbow, they intend to blow up Bottomogi's village with it and uncover the ruins of Gaul beneath, releasing the dark magic into modern Droon. Young Galen goes to fight the bandits with a weapon he calls his rainbow cutlass, a glowing curved staff. That's not what a cutlass is, but sure. Ving appears and, dropping all pretenses, gets in a big sword fight with Galen. Chapter 9, Wild Wild Droon. As Ving and Galen duel, Kia and Eric try to aim the giant crossbow somewhere else. They're not strong enough to do so themselves, as it took a whole team of hawkmen to aim it in the first place, but Kia uses a combination of wizard and witch powers to give them the strength to aim the bolt straight upwards. Julie and Neil return with the freed prisoners, Max kicks some ass, and finally the elder Galen returns to finish Ving off personally. The two Galens meet, and it's kind of weird and awkward, and everyone has to flee the palace before the bolt returns to obliterate the whole city. Chapter 10, Friends, Friends, Friends. Our heroes flee the burning wreckage of Tarkoom, parting ways with Galen Shortbeard, and dive into the magic tunnels to escape from Chem. Eric starts off leading the way, but Kia takes over, somehow knowing exactly where the tunnels go. Eric gets a hunch that these tunnels might have been where Kia met Demether all those years ago. As they emerge into Panjavar, they watch Tarkoom, the Hawk Bandits, and young Galen disappear back into their own time. Chem, however, remains in modern-day Droon, searching for his master and creator, Lord Spar. As the kids prepare to ascend the rainbow stairs, they find that Snorky has eaten some tang fruit, giving him the temporary ability to walk on his hind legs and talk. As Snorky ascends the stairs, talking to himself, seemingly unaware that anything unusual has happened, the book ends. So yeah, this book was awesome. Review over. First adaptation note regards Chem, the two-headed dog beast. Again, I think we're going to have to rely on some puppetry so brilliant that I, as a non-puppeteer, can't even conceive of it. But I have faith that if we really commit to the idea of depicting Droon with pre-CGI special effects, we can totes pull it off. The Mooples will be your standard Muppet-style puppet, and I think them being voiced by their puppeteers would be
And
appropriate.
they're not Muppets. It was a reference to the Muppets movie.
The Muppets, yeah. Now we come upon guest stars, starting with the Hawk Bandits, bare-chested men with the wings, claws, and heads of hawks. We'll choose the on-staff puppeteers with the most appealing torsos to physically portray the Hawk Bandits. The 2 guest stars among them include the Lieutenant Ichthos, who boasts one of the coolest names in the series, and seems to share Ving's ability to make magical aside comments, so that's why I think he's worth a guest star to play his voice. Let's go with Cam Clark, a very cool and prolific, if somewhat reclusive, voice actor. For Ving himself, I'd like him to be voiced by Jonathan Frakes. Before I rediscovered the series, I remember all the memories of it flooding back to me, accompanied by fantasies of adapting it to television, and Jonathan Frakes providing Ving's hypnotic, enchanting voice was one of the first things to come to mind. For the role of Galen Shortbeard, me. Yes, really. Casting myself as both Spar and the young Galen isn't an ego thing. Well, it mostly isn't. I just felt like Galen Shortbeard should be played by the same actor as Spar for significant reasons which will come to light later. And then at the end of the book, when Snorky talks, I figure he turns into a puppet, but like a really convincing puppet that looks just like he does when he's a real normal dog. And this seems like a good place for a Jess Harnell cameo. So there we have it, and now for the Keys and Kingdoms segment. In this segment, I talk about developing Keys and Kingdoms, a tabletop RPG I'm creating that combines Dungeons & Dragons with Disney. Currently, the process of developing it mostly involves watching every important Disney film I could think of to collect inspiration. This week, the Silver Age begins. Today, we're watching 2 milestone films released in the year 1950. First, Cinderella, the 12th film in the Disney animated canon, 14th on my list as a whole, and the second film to produce a Disney princess. With the company dying, Disney decided to take the chance at finally making another feature film, which saved the studio and gave birth to a new era of Disneyness. In the same year, the studio released Treasure Island, the first Disney feature to be entirely live action with no animated segments whatsoever. I hadn't even known that Disney made a Treasure Island feature in 1950 before compiling my list.
Neither do I.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I knew 2 things about it going in. One, that Bobby Driscoll stars as Jim Hawkins. Seems he was Disney's go-to young boy actor of this time period. And 2, as I understand it, what we know today as pirate slang was invented wholesale for the book Treasure Island, and the accent employed when speaking in pirate slang was invented wholesale for this movie. Arg, that'd be an amazing thing to discover. Yar. So I've been purchasing every film on my list so far, on YouTube if I can find it, on Amazon if I can't, and on DVD if it's not there either. I've purchased the collection so far as what we'll be watching while I'm here in Sweden. I'll figure out what to do next after I leave Sweden and start to get settled back into life and shit. Still hoping that most of the collection will be on Disney Plus so I can stop buying each one individually. I was a bit miffed to discover that Disney Plus is coming out late this year when I had assumed it would be early this year. Guess I'll still be buying for a little while.
Yeah, but they got to develop the Disney Stream thing.
Yeah.
It takes maybe a bit while. I think it's gonna be like Netflix but Disney.
Yeah.
Which is great.
All Disney. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. I mean, I'm not looking forward to any of the Disney Plus original content. That just sounds really dull, but hopefully if they have everything in my collection, then so much the better.
Yeah, I don't know much news about the Disney Plus stream service, but because of the limited knowledge Sweden get.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, basically, Disney Plus, it's divided into like Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And maybe a 5th thing. I don't remember, but yeah. Apparently,
what is the 5th thing gonna be?
I don't know. Maybe it was only 4 things. I don't know. But what was it? Yeah. Basically, every Marvel and Star Wars character gets their own TV series, and that's what's passing for Disney Plus original content. You actually excited about that?
Yeah.
Sounds really
Marvel.
Dull. Sounds really dull to me.
You're dumb. No, I'm kidding. You're not dumb.
Okay. What was I saying? My point is, Cinderella appears to be in the proverbial vault at the moment. I wasn't able to find a digital copy on either of the available platforms, and I knew if I ordered a DVD it wouldn't arrive before my trip to Sweden, so we're just watching Natty's family's copy of the film, which she's never seen in English before.
Yeah, and for the record, it has English.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got English. Could have saved a lot of money by just watching Natty's copy of most of the films on the schedule, but Now, this is my collection. I like collecting.
Yeah.
Cinderella, I wasn't really looking forward to this one, as it's one of the films I've seen a billion times whilst babysitting, but it was still an enjoyable experience. Opens with one of those credits songs that nobody really remembers exist.
Except me. I always remember it in my head.
Yeah. This film does have a particularly good one. Cinderella, you're as lovely as your name. I don't know the rest. But
It's a bit hard to understand, like, remember
the chorus,
the lyrics, but I do remember, like, the melody and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I never forgot.
Yeah. This one seems to be a Buena Vista feature rather than RKO, but that could just be because we were watching a remastered DVD version. Strangely, only half of the voice actors are credited in the original film, while the other half just get credited among the people who worked on the HD remaster. Trivia time. This film boasts a pretty interesting voice cast. Eileen Woods plays Cinderella. She was apparently a radio personality of some sort, or at least she was on the radio one time and the people casting the movie heard her. This was her only movie role ever. Eleanor Audley played Lady Tremaine and was such a badass in the role that the character of Maleficent was written especially for her.
Whoa.
Verna Felton was there. She seemingly has two modes. She's got the pompous windbag mode, which she played the elephant matriarch from Dumbo and the Queen of Hearts, and the gentle fairy godmother mode, both for this film's fairy godmother and Flora from Sleeping Beauty. Jacques and Gus were played by Jimmy McDonald, the sound designer who was the then current voice of Mickey. Anastasia was the first role ever played by legendary voice actress Lucille Bliss, who remained active until 2007 and died in 2012. And Lucifer's vocalizations were provided by even more legendary voice actress June Foray, who died just 2 years ago at the age of 99 without ever having formally
Lucifer
retired.
had a voice actor?
Yeah, somebody's got to go, meow! While not her first role, it was apparently the role she played that made her realize she could make a career out of voice acting. Odd realization to make about the role of a cat, but so she did, continuing to be the very best in the field for another 70 years. So the mice who accompany Cinderella in her day-to-day life, they could easily be interpreted as Mishkas.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
Yeah, so, yeah, they give me a lot of thoughts to Mishka culture. They speak Gungan Basic for some reason. They're also birds, but they don't talk, so perhaps they're just regular birds. They definitely got the scale of these mice right in the film. They are teeny tiny. Mishkas, for the record, stand about a foot tall in the Keys and Kingdoms world, so they don't quite have to deal with the same day-to-day problems as cartoon mice usually do. Gosh, this film, the action scenes with the mice, from their navigating around the house via their mouse holes to their epic final battle with Lucifer to just something as simple as picking Lady Tremaine's pocket being a quest, it really makes me think that I'll have to write some mechanics into K&K for teeny tiny adventures. How they get around, how they pick a pocket, and conversely, Colossus climbing mechanics. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep did a pretty good job displaying that, with one of the stories, one of our characters gets shrunk down to mouse-sized, so the mouse hole and the house are effectively a huge dungeon, and it ends with a boss battle against Lucifer. Maybe the mechanics should just be like that, treated as if the entire world grew rather than one individual shrank. Use different battle maps depending on the scale of the people most likely to be involved. That might work. Might.
Yeah, might is always possibilities.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna say it, Cinderella is hot. She's not sexualized per se, but she has the exact facial features you always see in pinup art. It's crazy. And
it was the 50s after all.
It was indeed, yes. And Cinderella gets a lot of flack these days for being a cardboard cutout of a character who does nothing and gets rewarded, and I'm pretty sure you're thinking of Snow White. Have you ever seen Cinderella? She's snarky, she has a full emotional range, she's trying desperately to cling on to a positive attitude in the midst of her hopeless situation, and she is rewarded for her patience and niceness and just doing the very best she can with magical intervention. That's just fucking karma. She's certainly more of a character than her 2015 live-action remake counterpart was.
Yeah, she is.
There are some pretty fillery mouse antics. I once joked that the film should be called Jacques and Gus featuring Cinderella. That wasn't a very good joke. The animation on Lucifer is really top-notch. His reactions and the way he slings around, especially the way he does that double take and realizing that he's already found Gus under the teacup. I remember seeing a featurette about like when they came up with that and how good that was.
Yeah, they used it as a GIF for like Oh My Disney app and stuff.
Nice.
Like when he's excited about something.
Just waves his arms around.
You have no idea how much me and my sisters used to laugh at that particular moment every goddamn time we saw the movie.
It was a pretty good moment. Okay. Moving on, the antics of the King and the Grand Duke are pretty entertaining. They're both played by the same actor, so kudos to that guy for his performance. I guess they still couldn't animate handsome men back then, so most of the princess side of the story is told from the perspective of the King and the Duke. It works. They pulled it off. And, I just realized that in this viewing that the whole story takes place over the course of not much more than 24 hours. Starts off a normal day in the life of Cinderella. The King impulsively decides there will be a huge ball that night, and the Duke finds Cinderella the next morning. Like, whoa.
Yeah, the whole thing is on 24 hours. I never thought much about it. In one storybook I used to read as a child, the event was actually over 3 days because the ball was apparently like 3 days long.
Yeah. So
Always
she comes
like,
back 3 nights, yeah.
Yeah. 4 if you include like the day after the ball.
Mm.
So it was like the original story I was told by my mom. And it was more gory actually.
Yeah, that too. Cutting off toes.
What do you
heels
expect
to get
from
shoes
the
in.
Green Brothers?
Yeah. Cinderella was Perrault, actually, not
It was?
not Grimm. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep confusing everything. You just know fairy tales, but when you're a child, but you never know who wrote it and stuff.
Yeah.
I should pay more attention. I'm coming up as a book dump.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Okay.
You think you hear fairy tales, you think Grimm Brothers, but there was also Hans Christian Andersen and Charles Perrault, so they were also fairy tales.
Hans Christian
guys.
Andersen was I'm more familiar about what he wrote and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Swedish after all.
Yes.
The second guy I never heard of, by the way.
Perrault. He is French, but Cinderella is a Perrault story.
All right.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. Well, it's always interested me how Cinderella, the prince, and the stepmother all have very grounded in reality appearances, possibly rotoscoped or at least taken from live-action reference, while everyone else is cartoony. That's pretty standard in Disney, starting as far back as Snow White, when all the humans were rotoscoped, but the dwarves were cartoony, and it continues to this day. The basic Disney formula of character design is your major characters have attractive and at least mostly realistic human-looking designs, while everyone else is really exaggerated. I kind of took inspiration from that, not for Keys and Kingdoms art, although I do want that art to be very Disney-esque, but for Whirlwind. I want Whirlwind to have a Disney-esque art style as well. The stepsisters ripping up Cinderella's dress is oddly traumatic and horrifying. But definitely the best and scariest part of that scene is Tremaine saying, "And I never go back on my word." And
if you notice my
Cinderella-
reaction, I become extremely stiff when I recognized it because every child who has been emotionally or mentally abused by an abusive parent recognize that.
Yeah,
And I got stiff and thought about, why have I never recognized this before? I used to think it was natural as a kid. Mm-hmm. And for those who doesn't know, I'm actually the result of a loveless marriage, and the most hated of me and my sisters by my own dad. I refuse to call him that. He's Steven. Just a name.
Yep.
So yeah,
Healthy.
Cinderella meant a lot for me as kid. Maybe because deep inside I knew that Stephen was exactly the same as Lady Tremaine, only bigger and more scary. But it was like the sentence I never go back on my words, and you just feel, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah, Cinderella herself makes a face that's just, oh god, how's she gonna screw me over this time?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it makes one think, how many times has Lady Tremaine screwed her over?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in the one day over which the film takes place, she screws her over pretty good several times, and then just that good night she gives her, just, ugh. Foul hag. Foul.
And it's not actually her place, actually. It's actually Cinderella's place.
Yeah, that was her dad's place, yeah. That's kind of part of the story. On a happier note, I've always loved the effect of the fairy godmother appearing. You know, Cinderella is crying with her face on a bench, and the godmother appears so that Cinderella is now crying right into her lap, but Cinderella doesn't budge an inch. It's really surreal, and the kind of thing that could only happen in 2D animation. The godmother speaks almost entirely in rhymes and subverted rhymes. That's a pretty interesting fairy trait maybe we can work with.
Yeah.
Cinderella's dress transforming into her elegant ball gown was Walt Disney's all-time favorite piece of animation.
You must really enjoyed it if he thinks that this is favorite animation.
Mm-hmm. Sure, Cinderella was close to his heart, and it did save the studio, after all.
Yeah.
If you watch the movie, Cinderella is like a strawberry blonde, and her ball gown is white or silver, you know. Promotional art, at least modern promotional art, always depicts her as very blonde, and her dress is bright blue.
That is wrong. That was actually one thing me and my family got pissed off over.
Yeah, I mean...
Yes, Disney, how could you do this? You know that she is like between blonde and brown, and her dress isn't blue, it's silvery. What the heck are you doing?
Yeah, like none of the other princesses.
Actually,
in
me and Michi throw entire vocal argument about that. How pissed off we were because, yeah, Disney was screwing us over our childhood. I mean, seriously, come on. Okay, my one.
It's not none of the other princesses have just like entirely wrong coloration in promotional Disney princess stuff.
This give me headache.
Yeah. And I remember like when the redesigns happened around like 2013-ish, like Cinderella was the first one to be redesigned, and then they didn't redesign any of the others for quite some time. And I'm like, what? So I was like, what's the deal with Cinderella? She doesn't look even close to how she did in the film now.
No, she looks like an entirely new person, which pisses me off.
Well, I mean, it's more consistent now, and Amy one time did get this set of dolls from the Disney store. It was there were 10 Disney princesses at the time, and then it was all 10 of them, and they were very film accurate, so that was cool.
Good.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked playing with those dolls with her because they were so accurate, unlike most Disney princess merch. And, let's see, when it comes to meeting and falling in love with your prince, I gotta give the edge to Snow White over Cinderella there. I mean, sure, they both fall in love over the course of about 30 seconds. This isn't new information to anyone, but at least Snow White's guy was serenading her for those 30 seconds. Cinderella and her guy were just kind of waltzing. Didn't exchange a single word until the end of the night. At least Snow White and her prince kinda spoke to each other. People call it a plot hole that the glass slippers didn't change back when everything else did. Well, obviously they're a gift from the fairy godmother, something to remember the evening by. Cinderella looks up into the stars and directly thanks the fairy godmother for letting her keep one. Fucking pay attention. Can't stand it when people point out plot holes. There's always a perfectly reasonable explanation that just pops into my head instantly, if people would think. And Tremaine continues to be evil and petty in the last moments of the film, breaking the glass slipper as a final fuck you, but Cinderella breaks out a fuck you in return. I have the other slipper. Ba-boom!
Boom!
Suck it, Tremaine! That was a great note to end the movie on, just the stepmother's appalled expression.
There's no greater satisfaction and to see one hated character, especially one that is portrayed as an abusive parent, finally get wound up. Ha! Yeah. Suck it!
Suck it, Jermaine! That was a great note in the movie on stepmother's appalled expression, and did I say that already? And then we get the happily ever after. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Yeah. Everyone knows there's a happy ever after.
That was the joke, yes.
Yeah.
And now Treasure Island.
Oh, I loved it.
I definitely want a big pirate theme in Keys and Kingdoms. Way back in the first podcast, I talked about the 7 themes of Keys and Kingdoms.
Of course, there's gonna be pirates.
Yeah, but my mom was fucking talking through that whole thing, so I'll reiterate. The 7 themes are fairy tales, epic myths, westerns, science fiction, pirate stories, urban fantasy, barbarian fantasy, and wildlife. That's 8. I can't count. Okay. Recently, I figured each of those themes deserves its own world, its own campaign setting. Starting with the fairy tale world, but which is where most of the Disney content will go. But yeah, I don't know. Other themes might be added later on, just like D&D has a bunch of settings that each is kind of its own genre of fantasy. The description of this film says, one of Disney's most critically acclaimed adventure classics. Don't lie, you know nobody's ever seen this film. Let me get into character. You can't talk about a pirate movie without talking like a pirate, so let's begin.
So I guess I will talk normal, like you talk the way you do.
Okay. Alright, let's begin. You know what this pirate movie be rated? G, obviously. It's a Disney film from the 50s. What were you thinking?
Alright.
This film be distributed by RKO. Still blows me down that Disney ever needed a distributor. Young Master Bobby Driscoll has become a better actor since his previous roles, but apparently he can't do an English accent, as he doesn't bother with one now, or when he famously voiced Peter Pan. At least he be having proper English teeth, yar. The film opens with all your favorite characters from early in the story, them being the likes of Billy Bones, Black Dog, Blind Pew. It's all very familiar. Jim's mother be cut from the film. She be mentioned, but not appearing, so not one single woman in this entire film. That'd be weird. It occurs to me that I be singing later in today's podcast. I hope this pirate bit don't destroy me throat. Okie dokie then, we meet Long John Silver, who, to be fair, be the only character in yon film who be speaking in this way, but 'tis the principle of the thing, got to be piratey. There be scenes I never be seeing in no other adaptation involving Long John and Jim in Bristol. I be wondering if they be from the book. I may be recalling if I ever read the original novel, or just some kid version. They be saying the word seaman a lot in this film. I be knowing what it means, but it still be making me chortle. I can't help it. And here be the scene of Silver getting Mr. Arrow loaded on a bottle of rum. That seems out of character for the Mr. Arrow I be knowing, but I suppose it makes more sense than him falling into a black hole, and the whole leaky lifeboats thing just never made sense to me anyway, so there you go then. After Mr. Arrow's funeral, Silver ends a prayer by literally saying, "Amen." Well, that be striking me as excessive. This film, of course, includes the iconic apple barrel scene. All I got to say. Yar. Robert Newton be playing Silver with some crazy eyeball stuff. I thought at first that he'd be too hammy, but he growed on me. All the men in this film seem to have their skin artificially darkened. Be it the film, be it faded or something. Was it makeup to make them seem more like men of the sun and sea? I may be knowing. Confused me, it did. Jim be a dull protagonist in this film, which I assume be carried over from the book. He be lacking the daddy issues of future Disney tellings of the tale. There come a point where Jim goes on a solo mission and gets hurt real bad, and it's quite graphic. And from there, the story somewhat be divergent from what I be familiar with. So to conclude, this here be a solid adaptation of the world's earliest swashbuckling tale. A bit vanilla for my tastes, but so much the better, says I, for in much later years, Disney would be producing some far more interesting interpretations. Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of water. Yar, I carry a bottle of water around everywhere I go. Drink 2 or 3 of them every day. Just good for me health, don't you know? So the point being, I be recommended the film. 'Tis available for purchase on YouTube. A great adaptation of a classic story. What further thoughts have ye about today's film, wench?
Wench?
Yeah.
Seriously? I really liked the movie. I never saw it before, actually. So it was kind of a big deal for me. And I was amazed how close and accurate they made it to the book.
Yeah, Disney's
Actually,
known for kind of with their adaptations. Yeah.
I have grown up with a lot of fairy tales, which includes, of course, Treasure Island. Mm-hmm. But the thing I always got pissed over when I go into a preteen was the kid-friendly versions of it. They were short and stuff. I didn't want that. I wanted the full thing. I wanted the original thing. Yeah, why are you keeping this from me?
Yeah, I think I read those too. It's the kid versions of the book.
Yeah, because I felt, no, this is too short. It has to be more. Why are you keeping this from me? I want it. This is a bookworm speaking, you know.
Yes.
Besides, I was more tomboyish as a kid. I wasn't much for the romantic stuff, reading Snow White and stuff. It was okay, but I loved the adventures. I wanted the action, the fights.
Yeah.
True heroes.
Yep.
Who fights for honor, not some girl.
Yeah. I used to be a bookworm. I can't focus anymore. Can't read anything larger than a Secrets of Droon novel anymore.
We get back to it. I have also lost my touch when it comes to physical books. I used to love it. Then internet came, took my life from me.
Yeah.
I blame you, internet.
Yeah, it did kind of kill everyone's ability to focus, didn't it?
But I gonna get it going again. I gonna try reading more.
Cool. Yeah, I should do the same.
So yeah, Treasure Island. It was excellently made.
Yeah. Very, very good. Very good introduction to the We'll be seeing some spicier versions of that same tale later in the Disney collection, and so yeah, this is good. So it's good that they started off with this one. Yeah.
Yep. Also, you know that Treasure Island is actually very, very popular today, and there's been made many adaptations about Treasure Island or inspired by it. Mm-hmm. One of the first works Hayao Miyazaki we own as for Studio Ghibli, he actually made something that was called it was like Treasure Island, but it was anthropomorphic animals as main cast.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you've never seen it, but I have, because we recorded it on a videotape when I was a kid. Cool. It's great, it's hilarious, and awesome.
Cool.
So maybe it's not Disney or Pixar, but maybe you watch it for your own enjoyment.
Well, Disney distributes Studio Ghibli films in the U.S., so...
They did?
Yeah, they do. They do really good all-star voice dubs. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool seeing celebrities doing anime, so...
Yeah.
Not that Miyazaki is ever a typical anime. He's got his own style. Ooh, that about covers it.
Yeah.
That was good. Up next is the Companions segment, in which I discuss one scene from my Dungeons & Dragons musical parody, Drizzt and the Companions of the Dance Hall. In Act 1, Scene 11, we discover that Deneen has been transformed into a Drider, a horrible half-spider monstrosity, and he's a little bit bummed out. As Virna goes off stage to divine the way to get into Dritzt's current position, Jarlaxle has a quick phone call with Triel Bainra, which implies to an eavesdropping Deneen that House Bainra really do intend to sell Virna out. They just want Drizzt. But Jarlaxle indicates there's even more to it than that. Virna returns and leads the way to Mithril Hall, while Jarlaxle is surprised that Drizzt has found the place already. Deneen, who, unlike in the books, can still talk in Drider form, tries to warn Virna against this course of action, but she refuses to listen, and the two siblings state their hatred of one another before proceeding to go find and capture their other sibling. And, well, that's it for this scene, but the climax of the first act is coming up. That's going to be something to talk about. And finally, the Team Salmon segment.
Salmon!
You just had to.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my thing.
Okay.
And when you're gone in US, you're gonna keep it up.
Yes, dear.
Yes.
Okay. This is where I talk about my original ideas that I hope to turn into cartoons someday. Last week I got to talk about some of the artwork for Iris, but Stacy didn't quite finish it in time, so for those of you just joining us, here again are Iris and Alton, the main characters of my young adult dystopian novel-style cartoon project, Iris. And we return again to this picture of their supporting cast, Raquel, Sequoia, and Meggie. Raquel I talked about last week, but as the other two didn't get done until after last week's episode was recorded, let me talk about their artwork. Sequoia, Stacy seems to have done him in a hurry. I don't know, he just seems to have a different art style from all the rest. He's so skinny and his tiny feet. Not going to go with that, but she definitely nailed his stoic expression, his vaguely ethnic features. I figure he's of some new futuristic ethnicity. Just his subtle wolfishness, and I did say he was skinny, so the details are certainly all there and correct. And Meggie, Stacy really nailed her personality and striking design. You definitely need a higher quality image than the one here on YouTube to appreciate the details put into it, like her scales and makeup. Again, I urge a look at my DeviantArt. Note to self, put these pictures on my DeviantArt. Haven't done that yet. I was surprised to see Meggie depicted as so buxom, but, well, I never said she wasn't, so I get where Stacy was coming from. Natty accused me while she was drawing some of my cast that I make all the women in my stories have big boobs, and I was like, I do not. I give them plenty of different boob sizes. In my head, Meggie is
There isn't a single person in the Iris segments that has small boobs.
Well, in my head, Meggie is very skinny, and her breasts are proportionate to that. It's not my fault. It's not my fault Stacy drew her with big boobs. I'm not a complete pig.
I have a suspicion he enjoys drawing that too much.
Yeah. When I shared it, Christine said, definitely not drawn by a bi girl. And then I quoted back what Stacy said. What Stacy said, her exact words when I first asked her to draw the Iris characters was, sure, I like drawing boobs as much as the next gay.
What?
So,
I'm not gonna comment on that.
Anyway, she's got scales. Like Alton, she's got more coverage with her scales than the mammalian ones do with their fur. I'd want the scales to be patterned like those of the Atlantic blue marlin, but I told Stacy not to worry about that. These are just examples. We can add detailed plumage to Alton and Meggie later, so just blue. She's got webbed feet, also webbed hands. Stacy, when a character has unique hands, you don't hide their hands in the first ever official drawing of them. Not every detail about the characters could be in this. Meggie also has a dorsal fin, but, I can't see how that would fit in. Raquel has bare ears, Sequoia has sharp canine teeth, but this was more about capturing the character's essence than their every detail. And, again, regarding Meggie, Stacy really captured a detail I casually suggested that in addition to not having a navel, the way she wears her top makes it pretty obvious that she doesn't have nipples. That's a trait of being part non-mammalian. Alton doesn't have nipples or a navel either. You just can't tell because of his feather placement. Of course, none of the five has visible navels in this particular set of drawings, so there's another note for their future final designs. And, I'd hoped Stacy would have the other 5 main characters of Iris done today, but she started another college course, so she couldn't promise anything, so let's hope we see it next week. Likewise with Kenzie's interpretation of the characters. And, okay, while I'm in the Team Salmon segment, I've worked out replacements for Vic Mignogna. For Kevin, I'll be calling Mason Ellison, an actor and playwright I'm quite close to. For Clover, I'm going to try to get Matthew Mercer, a brilliant voice actor and even more brilliant dungeon master, whose existence I discovered only recently, well after most of my fantasy casts had been solidified in my mind. He definitely needs to start showing up more often. Elsewhere, in a very big fan casting project I'm working on, which I'll start talking about when I'm done with Droon in another 33 weeks. I've done a search and replace of Mignogna's name, so his roles are now played by Quentin Flynn. Again, I'm aware of the fact that I'm ousting him from my personal fantasies is completely meaningless. I'm not deluded into thinking that means anything. It's basically just my way of saying that if I actually had a show, and Vic Mignogna was in it when I learned about his reputation last week, his ass would be so replaced by somebody. I'm just trying to express that I have that kind of integrity. I'm not usually an especially strong person, but I believe victims and survivors. You know why? Because I'm not a fucking sociopath. Kick Vic.
Yeah, but contrary to most men in modern day, you're actually a gentleman. So the ways of a gentleman is almost extinct. I'm very lucky to have you.
Yeah, you are. Okay.
Okay, moving on before people get sick of us.
Yes, okay. What I had intended to talk about in the segment this week was the Keys and Kingdoms cartoon, which, as I've mentioned, I'm contemplating converting into a webcomic called Kingdom Butts. This saga began life as what I'd intended to be a live-action filmed project, is performed on a stage as if it was a play, reenacting the events of the Kingdom Hearts franchise with pitch-perfect cosplay, great musical numbers, and amazing jokes. Basically an abridged series of Kingdom Hearts, but in the interest of actually being able to make money off of it, I started working on making it a bit more off-brand. My current idea is that it basically retells the story of the Kingdom Hearts saga in the context of the Keys and Kingdoms universe, and you know what, I don't like that idea anymore. I want to go back to the direct parody thing with all the names and costumes being used, because it'd just be funnier that way, but I can't do that. It needs to be a Keys and Kingdoms thing or there's no point to it. You know what would be even better? What I see all the time is people ripping the character models and area maps from Kingdom Hearts games and making them dance around and stuff with animation programs. That would be a perfect way to create this series, but I just don't know how to pull that off.
Pookie brief.
Okay. Whew. I'm so conflicted about this project. I mean, I'm conflicted about all these projects because I'm too stupid to do them by myself, and I have no leadership abilities whatsoever to be able to direct them, but especially the Kingdom Hearts parody thing.
Pookie Pie, you're not a one-man show.
Well, I'm not a leader either.
Who says you can't have two leaders?
Okay, well.
Like having one leader, do you know how much pressure it takes its tolls on people? Mm-hmm. That's why you like have a group of friends who knows your stuff and said, well, this guy's gonna kill himself while stressing out, so I better help him. Just sit there, take a glass of water, take deep breaths while I explain stuff for people.
Okay, what?
Yeah. You're not in this alone. I agree to like your staff as your partner. Okay. Both romantic partner and like in this creative thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is Team Salmon, 4 people. Like a team. And,
oh yeah.
But,
for people who are watching this first time and not watching the very first episode, which I recommend, but you lazy butts probably. Team Salmon consists actually of Sage, me, Stacy, and our friend Mackenzie. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yes, that's Team Salmon. Yeah, and
yeah.
So Stacy and Kenzie didn't get anything to me this week, but I do not resent them for that. They got
life happens.
They got college and stuff.
Life happens.
Yeah, I'm sure my output will be decreased significantly when I go back to work at the restaurant. Yeah.
You like actually working in that restaurant?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not sure how I'll get around. I can't drive anymore. That'll complicate things a lot.
People get traumatized by stuff. You happen to be traumatized by driving. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm dead scared of driving myself. But I was thinking about, maybe I could like try. Mm-hmm. No harm in trying.
Indeed. So,
also, when you take a driver's license, you get this. You can like just show it instead of your expired ID. Mm-hmm. Noise.
Yeah.
Okay.
The worst part about not having a driver's license anymore is I got to carry my passport around everywhere. That's really embarrassing.
That is what I do as well, because my ID expired October last year. Mm-hmm. I was very shocked because I never noticed it.
Okay. Well, to summarize, my Kingdom Hearts parody, I need to do it, but no matter how I try to frame it, I just can't think of any possible scenario in which it works. But what I'm going to do today sing you a couple of little songs. I wrote a few songs for the Kingdom Butts series early when I was conceiving it as an abridged series style project. And two of them that I'm particularly proud of were written to take place during boss battles with members of Organization 13. And the first song I wrote for any Tapas and Stuff project was called That One Boss, to be sung by Demix and his water duplicates during his big climactic boss battle with Sora at Hollow Bastion in Kingdom Hearts 2. Starts with Demix whipping out his sitar and singing, "You don't appreciate my value? You're lost, 'cause I'm taking you in no matter what the cost. You wanna mess with me, your fate's a weighted coin toss, 'cause I'm that one boss. I'm that one boss that you can't stand. I'm a luck-based mission that'll break your hands. Once we get this started, I think you'll understand why I'm that one boss. I don't do much fighting, but I don't fight alone. I summon up a shitload of water clones, and once they're through with you, you're gonna be so pwned, 'cause I'm that one boss. That one boss. You don't know me. Everything you know is just a big facade, and I'm gonna kick your kingdom butt. I'm that one boss that you can't stand. I'm a luck-based mission that'll break your hands. All my fangirls screaming from across the land to mix that one boss. That one boss. I don't do much fighting, but I don't fight alone. I summon up a shitload of water clones. I do all my best work when I'm fucking stoned, and I'm that one boss. Dance break! That one boss. Dance, water, dance, tie up the Keyblade dude. Ask yourself, what could make our all-loving hero act so freaking rude? Think about that shit. I'm that one boss that you can't stand. I'm a luck-based mission that'll break your hands. I'm my own harmonizer, my own backup band. I'm that one boss. That one boss. I don't do much fighting, but I don't fight alone. I summon up a shitload of water clones. Just look at yourself, you've never been so boned. I'm that one boss. Yeah!
I'm sorry. I thought it was just one flat. Yeah.
No.
Did I ruin it?
No, you're good.
Okay.
So there it is.
It was catchy.
Thank you.
It was damn catchy. I just wanted to clap my hands in rhythm and stuff.
I don't know where I get some melodies, because like half of the songs I write, I just can't think of. Nothing comes to mind. But I got one for that one, that's for sure. So there it is.
Melodies come. Just come. Go.
Yeah. There it is, that was Demix's big number, but well before that, it would have been the first boss battle with Axel in the Chain of Memories story arc, a number called Hell of a Show. I actually completely drew a blank as far as verses to that song. It's been years, and I've got nothing, but the choruses were so good, I've just got to share them. So, like, this is early on in the Chain of Memories bit, when Sora has first met Axel. Whenever the first boss battle with Axel happens, I forget exactly when in the story that is, but Sora sings some kind of grand statement, with a big Kirk summation, ending with something like, "I'm fueled by a power that you'll never know." And Axel replies, "Well then give me a hell of a show." And there's a verse as they fight each other, and the first chorus goes thus. "Give me a hell of a show me what you've got, 'cause the guy who pulls his punches is a what I'm not. I'll leave your face dripping with tears and snot, unless you gain back the skills that you forgot. If you wanna uncover our twisted plot, then give me a hell of a show, or you'll be left here to rot. Baby, 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 oh, baby, baby, oh, baby." And then there's the second verse, whatever that would be, and the second chorus. "Give me a hell of a show, try to beat me back. What you've got can't make up for what I lack. Would you believe that I'm cutting you so much slack, while you're putting your whole being into every attack? I'm made of tough stuff behind the black, so give me a hell of a show, or eat my midnight snack. And he throws a pizza at Sora and congratulates himself for the clever reference. And then comes the final chorus, the end of the song, where Sora and Axel's clash becomes truly desperate. Apologies in advance if this exceeds my vocal range. I don't know if I'm a good enough singer to pull this off. But,
you are.
But here goes.
Trust me.
Oh no, you have no idea. Listen to this.
Yes, I have an idea.
Okay.
I have heard you sing. You're wonderful.
You haven't heard me sing this verse. It gets pretty high. Let's just see if I can do it. Let's see.
Punch it.
Let's find out together. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a hell of a show so I can feast my eyes. Could you try to do just one thing that comes as a surprise? With all that I've heard about you Keyblade guys, I'd hoped your spinning key would leave me mesmerized. Instead I'm just feeling kinda tranquilized. My eyes glazed, jaw slack, catching flies. You're nothing but a patter of grunts and sighs. Who can't beat me no matter how hard he tries. I guess you've been thoroughly nominized. You've fallen for all of her tricks and lies. The story's not over till everyone dies. So give me a hell of a show. Do you got it memorized? Okay, I pulled it off. So yeah, there's that.
And his famous quote at the end, it was excellent, Puka.
So yeah, there's that. If anyone thinks some kind of series actually being produced that has these songs in would be worth it, help me. I can't do this alone. Okay, that felt good. I was gonna... Okay, in my script here, I end this on a really depressing note, but no, I'll delete that. We're good. We're good. Okay,
If you want the singer, please hire him.
Thank you.
A bit promotion for you, but seriously, as your girlfriend and also partner in this, you have an amazing voice.
Thank you, baby. Okay, that felt good. That felt really good. I was thinking, man, this whole thing, it's never gonna happen. But then, man, I sang it. I gotta do it. I gotta put that song in something, and it can only be
just
punch it. Can only be in a Kingdom Hearts parody. So, whew. Maybe it could be. We have ambitions to go to Rooster Teeth, and
Yeah, it's the biggest dream we have to work at Rooster Teeth. It's been a dream of mine for a couple of years when I discovered Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, and I always wanted to work at Funimation, which is not the Funimation and Rooster Teeth. They're kind of close together. They are in different cities, but they are kind of close together. So yeah, I think if we go to Texas, I don't know if we're tough enough to live in Texas, but it's got it's got Rooster Teeth and Funimation, so that's kind of our ambition.
If Gavin Free couldn't handle living in Texas, we can.
Yeah, that's true, and he doesn't drive, so there's that.
No, his hot girlfriend did it. You didn't inherit it from me.
Okay. And so yeah, so what I'm thinking of, I don't know. I don't know if Rooster Teeth would ever dip back into something like Red versus Blue, but if we ripped the models from the Kingdom Hearts series and animated them to do the Kingdom Butts parody thing, that's what I would want. They've done such great things with their original properties. I think they
it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's great for me. Also, this Nomad from Nowhere. It's great.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, by the way, Genlock is looking great.
Yeah, Genlock. Yeah, we watched those episodes because I'm a first member, and
lucky you.
That's really good. How was I? So yeah, I hope they haven't become too big to take on people like us and their Kingdom Hearts idea.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, want to hang out until that timer there reaches exactly an hour, or should we just end it?
How much has this been going on?
59 minutes exactly as of right now.
Let's make it 1 hour.
Yeah, let's hang around for another couple of minutes.
Da 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 da. And I miss you. Da-da-da-da. I'm just making up, doing makeup songs. We should make our own theme song for this.
The TAPAS theme song?
Yeah.
I'll just find some Kevin McLeod stuff.
Yeah. He thinks it's great, actually.
Yeah, what my favorite McLeod song is? I think it's The Cannery. I think is what it's called. You know, it's about working in a can factory. Dun 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 dun. I love that song. And 1 hour, we're done.